Alright guys, it's Max here with the 135. Tonight we're going to try to get started on some springs. Right now it has the Dynan springs and you can see it offers a pretty good drop there. But the thing is, there's really not much gap here. If you look, it's hard to even get my finger in there. And I normally, as Mighty Car Mod says, you got to be able to stick your shoe in there, and I can't really get it in. In the rear, it's a little better. Still not much. A little bit more than one finger. Not quite two. Not even really 1.5. Just right at one. But more of a two-finger man myself. So, bought some OEM sport springs, and I'm going to throw those on with the Coney shocks instead of the Dynan springs that came on the car with the all the Dynan upgrades. Alright, here are the OEM springs. You can tell they're used. I'm going to go on here. Sorry the car is so dirty. We've had a lot of rain and pollen. Sorry about that. And first step is to jack the car up. So just a quick note for those of you who are buying inexpensive jack stands and are jacking a BMW. Notice the width here is very small, which is good for the jacking points. Sure, this little block here. And so this fits on there better than this. This one's a bit wider. See the difference there? So, anyway, look for the ones with the smaller tops to them. Alright, the next step is to come in here and remove the strut tower brace, and which is, I have a Dynan strut tower brace, carbon fiber, and also the factory strut tower brace kind of, or frame brace that goes diagonal on each side. This is a weird looking bolt here. So I ended up having to get the correct socket for these. You'll see that these are actually like a external Torx type bolt, and so I had to get the set here, full Pittsburgh E-socket set. You need size 14, E14, and E18. So you also have to take off the cover here by the wipers, and that's an 8mm. This is also how you change your cabin air filter, apparently. Alright, now to get the rest of the engine cover off, there's a few more steps. Alright, so then this piece here, you just want to come in and rotate it up. It'll kind of pop, and it comes straight out like that. Then after you get this loose, there's also these little clips here. They just kind of slide off. So push those forward, get that out of the way. Then you pop this box out, so there's a little tab down here, it's hard to see. So you pull up this tab, so similar tab on this side, pull it up, pop this loose. It's a little bit of a thing here that catches on. Set that aside. Now we're on the driver's side. It looks like there's another one of these guys. Alright, there's another one of these boxes. Pull the tab up. Pull the tabs up. Release it here. Set it aside. So then, to remove the cowl, to remove the engine cover back here, there's another bolt down here, I think another 8mm. Then it kind of slides out from the back. You want to unhook these things on the sides as you do it and kind of get the wiring harness unclipped here as you do it. Try to slide it out. Oh, we want to keep clipping back. Get the other side. And actually, no, I shouldn't be locking it too much. Release the wiring harness, and then this whole guy comes off. And we still don't have access to the other end of those kind of A-frame braces, so we have to remove a plastic cap using a flathead screwdriver. I'm assuming this one. Okay, like a quarter turn, maybe. Now that we've got the strut bar and the factory A braces out of the way, it's time to actually start removing the struts. Alright, so then you just gotta come in here and remove some of these sensors. There's a brake sensor back here. Pop that out, it just slides back toward the car that way. There's another sensor up here, which also just slides out gently. Kind of work it out. Pops out of that hole right there. Alright, so I can't really get this sway bar mounting bolt off because it keeps spinning around. I'm supposed to be able to fit a 17mm back in behind it to hold it, to keep it from spinning. But all of my 17s are a little bit too thick, so if you're going to be doing this job, you need a slim 17. So before I go out and get any more tools or start making tools, I'm just going to give it a go with the impact wrench and see if we can get it loose here. That looks like it worked. So you could also use an impact wrench. There we go, sway bar off. Pull that loose, and then the other place where it attaches seems like it's zip tied on there, so I'm just going to pop that loose. And you're going to need an 18 and an 18. So let's see. Alright, so I've got basically one end here with a closed end wrench because that's all I've got, an 18, and then down here I've got an 18mm socket, which probably gonna just... So this is the bottom of the strut mount. There's just one pinch bolt back here. Now we've got to just remove the strut itself by spreading apart the lower clamp that we've already taken the bolt out of here. BMW apparently sells a special tool to this. I made this a number of years ago with a buddy to do a Volkswagen suspension job, and I think it'll work here. So we'll find out. But it's basically a rounded off adapter that goes a 1/2 inch to 3/8. So let's see if this works. I've attached the spring compressors here, and I'm gonna see if I can compress the spring. I've loosened it back up from the top again, so I'm gonna just see if I can compress the spring and then kind of do it like I did on the Porsche, where I just slide it out past here. It almost can make it past the inside of the fender well up here, so I'm gonna give this a shot. Okay, now we're on to the driver's side here. There's a couple little differences. Extra wires to detach. There's a brake pad wear sensor right here, and that goes around and also attaches up on the clip behind. You can see I've already got the strut out. There's also a little arm down here. Let's see. And basically, this guy attaches onto this guy. There we go. So these two attach together, and you want to make sure you take this off because you're going to be putting some stress on the control arm to get the strut out. So I've already got the springs off, and here's just a quick comparison. So I'm actually doing the opposite of what most people do. Instead of lowering the car, I'm raising the car. And so here you can see the factory spring on the right compared to the Dynon spring on the left. There's no markings on this Dynon spring, but you can see. So I'm not sure if they get it in-house or if they have a locally sourced place, but you can see the factory spring is a good, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so, inch maybe higher. So it'll make the car ride a little bit higher. And they actually surprisingly have a very similar spring rate. Dynon is not too much stiffer, to be honest, but it does have about the same number of coils, just squished down a bit. Right, so here we have the strut reassembled with the new or used factory coil spring. We have the top hat, the mounting strut mount there, and you basically assemble this. Now, a couple pitfalls you want to avoid are placing the clamps. I had to actually take this apart and do it again and replace the clamps because I realized that I was blocking this back here with the spring compressor, and it also would not have been in a good position to remove it after you put it on the car, because I think I'm going to have to leave them on there just to slide it up under the fender again. And now we'll go ahead and reassemble the top hat. There's a larger washer followed by a smaller washer, which acts as a seal for the ball bearings here. This spins around, so when you turn your wheel, it will spin around. I could have repacked it with some grease, but it looked like there was a good amount of grease in there. So then this will go on top. Then you've got a lock washer and a nut. Check that spins around there. Lock washer, nut. Don't forget to put your bump stop and your dust boot back inside. Push it down a little bit. You can't really grab the very top of the spring up here, so you kind of have to stand on this a little bit to push the spring down and get it threaded. Twist there. You don't need to hit it too hard, it just needs to get tight. And there's not really a good way to hold this one. These are the adjustable kind here, and yeah. Oops. That's good. So you can see it has about one and a half threads showing up top. almost done with the job here. The struts are back in, so the last things to do are to mount the strut bar and then the engine cover and air filter and the other factory strut bars, and that's it. Alright, so that's all she wrote on the front suspension job. Got everything put back together here. New springs are on there. Well, old factory springs, OEM springs. So we'll see how it sits after. And then onto the rear suspension.